Good afternoon, Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
My name's Alan Honner. I'm a lawyer at the Democracy Fund. We share a standing with the JCCF and Citizens for Freedom, although we are separate organizations. Commissioner, do you recognize this document?
No.
Do you know if there would be any reason why Jody Thomas would be asking you and other people for reasons for comments on criteria for revoking the Emergencies Act?
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, so.
You recall being asked about that?
I know that there was talk about as soon as the second the Emergency Act was invoked, the next question was when they undo that. And so they would have no idea. Obviously, it would be probably on a law enforcement lead to say that, okay, we don't need it anymore in cooperation with the people who put the act in the first place.
Okay, but why would they be consulting you about that?
Because I was the contact for law enforcement, and so I'm imagining they're looking at what date is this? The 21st. So the 21st would have been right around the time that that was when police operations were just finishing up, and they were wondering if we needed any of the authorities to continue. So that's probably why they were asking.
Okay, so can we look at the top of the page, please?
Council, if it's any help, are you still looking for that Jeff has put pen on paper reference?
Sorry, can you just scroll up?
On page 4, there's that reference, I think.
No, that's okay. Just scroll
up,
please. Okay, so there's an email here from Brian Brennan, and he's one of the deputy commissioners at the RCMP.
Yes, of contract and Indigenous policing.
And he makes a comment here about Rob Stewart, and he says, Rob Stewart talks about assessing the threat in terms of violence versus truckers hanging around. Not sure this is the best point of view, given that there was no serious violence in Ottawa, the main reason for the Emergencies Act, but there was such a threat in Coops, but was handled with already existing authorities, even though we could have used the EA in Coops to support the operation. Plus, truckers hanging around is how bridges and points of entry become blockades. Do you agree with the remarks of your deputy commissioner here?
Not in the way that he's put it, no. There's a lot to unpack there, so I can't say I agree with everything that's being said.
So let me ask you about something else then. We heard earlier today that the integrated planning team presented you and OPP Commissioner Creek with a plan on February the 13th, and you told us that you found that plan to be satisfactory.
Yes, we were briefed on that plan on the 11th.
In your witness statement, I put it to you that you described that plan differently. You said that it was an amazing plan and you wanted to see it actioned promptly.
Yes.
Okay. And your evidence today was that you were the window to law enforcement for cabinet.
Well, I was the primary contact for the federal government.
Right. And so I'm confused about whether you actually attended the IRB meeting and the cabinet meeting of February the 13th. I thought you said in your evidence that you weren't sure if you attended those meetings.
Well, no, the question was whether I spoke at those meetings. I know I attended.
Okay, so you attended, but you're not sure if you spoke. And my friend from the government of Saskatchewan brought this to you, brought this up with you, but if we could pull up the cabinet meeting, that's ssm.nsc.can 50216. Okay, so if we go to page 8, you are not giving the situational report here. Advisor Jody, NSIA advisor Jody Thomas is giving that situational report. Why is that? Because I thought you usually gave those situational reports.
Yes, I usually did. And I think because she would give an overview on those meetings, and I would give an overview, and I think they just wanted to condense it, so they asked her to do it. And so she had normally given a bit of an overview, so I gave her my notes if she wanted to incorporate anything in that.
Okay, and let's go to the cabinet meeting. Sorry, this is the cabinet meeting.
That's the IRG, I think.
This is 216. So let's go to ssm.can.5095, maybe 6 zeros. And what we're looking at here is, I believe it's the incident response group meeting from February the 13th. And if we can scroll down to page 5, please. Here we see the Minister of Public Safety is outlining the great progress that has been made on clearing the Ambassador Bridge. He talks about enforcement actions that are occurring at Coots and Emerson, and he talks about the establishment of the Integrated Command Center in Ottawa. He describes that as a significant concrete action. But what he's giving here, it seems to me, is an update on law enforcement. Do you agree about that?
Is not what?
Isn't this an update about law enforcement?
It's an update of the situation on the ground that is by law enforcement, yes.
And that's something that you would usually give, but you didn't give it that day.
No.
Okay. And both of these documents that we just looked at, they're heavily redacted, but I don't see you speaking on either of those days, although the documents confirm that you were in attendance.
Yeah, as per previous documents revealed, I think it was in an email, it shows that I wasn't going to be speaking and that the NSIA was going to.
Right. No, I saw that. And do you think that you were not invited to speak because you had reservations about invoking the Emergencies Act?
No, not at all, because the primary purpose of that day was all about the Emergencies Act. And I think that the fact that they had because normally I'm just giving a situational report on what's happening from coast to coast. I wasn't going to be talking about the Emergencies Act anyways. What I normally give is a sit rep, so maybe they were just in the economy of time.
My friend from Commission Council earlier today brought you to a request for a security assessment, which was directed to Adriano Paulez and not to the RCMP. And was that perhaps because you had reservations about the invocation of the Emergencies Act? Commissioner, I know I'm just about out of time.
I wasn't aware of that request for a threat assessment, so it wouldn't have been attached to the Emergency Act specifically.
And it's not connected
Excuse me, but in addition, I think you've mischaracterized the evidence. Ms. Palazzo is with the RCMP.
Right, okay. So she was asked, but you were not asked.
I don't do threat assessments, so she would have been asked.
But you were not even notified about it?
No, and nor would I be at my level.
You learned about that today?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to show you very quickly the email of February the 14th. This is ssm.nsc.can 50216. And it's this email in which you express your reservations to Minister Mendicino about invoking the Emergencies Act because there are other existing tools at law that haven't been exhausted. And I just want to show you the time of that email. I believe it's sent just after midnight, but if we're doing Greenwich Meridian time, that would be 5 hours back.
Yes.
So I think between 7 and 8 o'clock.
Council, I think, was that the SSM 216 that you just mentioned?
Yes.
SSM NSC CAN 216 goes back to cabinet minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Do you recall the email was showed to you earlier today and it was dated, it was timestamped just after midnight?
I can't recall the time stamp.
Okay, well, would you take it from me that it was timestamped just after midnight? Or should I pull it up?
Okay, sure. I you know what, I have no idea, so I'm...
Okay, and if we deduct 5 hours, that brings us between 7 and 8 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time. And you would agree with me that's shortly before the cabinet meeting happened on February the 13th.
You sound like you've done your research, so I'll take your word for you.
Okay. And so before that cabinet meeting was held, Minister Mendicino and others knew about your position on the Emergencies Act.
Yes, in fact, if it was before the cabinet meeting.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With your support, our lawyers will be in Ottawa for the next few weeks, trying to hold our government accountable for its improper declaration of an emergency. To follow our work in the inquiry, visit thedemocracyfund.ca/commission, and please consider making a tax-deductible donation to help contribute to our fight. We thank you so much for your support.